The girl with cat ears. The villagers of Eldermere never spoke of the Moonkin, but they whispered of a girl with unnatural eyes. Mira knew this because she often heard them when they thought she wasn't listening. That girl, she's strange. Always creeping in the shadows. Did you see her ears? No human has ears like that. Mira tugged the hood of her cloak tighter over her head, the fabric pressing down on the feline ears hidden beneath. She had lived in Eldermere for all 16 years of her life, yet she never truly felt like she belonged. She wasn't cursed not in the way the villagers thought. Her abilities were a gift, a remnant of an ancient bloodline long forgotten, but no one else saw it that way. "Stay away from them, child," her grandmother Old Nan always warned. "The world fears what it does not understand." And so, Mira stayed in the shadows, never daring to step too close. Her home sat on the edge of the village, nestled in the deep woods, where the moonlight painted silver streaks across the trees. It was safer there, where no prying eyes watched, where she could practice her cat-like agility, her heightened senses, and her unnatural speed without fear. Still, she longed for more. Every night, she climbed to the rooftops of Eldermere, crouched like a panther watching prey, gazing down at the villagers laughing and feasting by the fire. She wished she could be one of them. Tonight was different. Tonight was the Harvest Moon Festival, the one night of the year where the entire village came together to celebrate the changing of seasons. Mira lingered at the outskirts, drawn by the music and laughter. Lanterns hung from every wooden beam, casting golden light over the cobbled streets. Children danced, merchants sold sweet honey cakes, and the scent of roasted meat filled the air. She shouldn't be here. She knew that, but she couldn't help herself. She pulled her hood lower and moved between the crowd, careful to keep her tail tucked beneath her cloak. If anyone noticed, they'd scream. They'd call her a monster. A hush fell over the crowd as an old traveling scholar stepped onto the festival stage, leaning on a gnarled wooden staff. "Gather close, for I have a tale," the old man crooned. A tale of the forgotten warriors, the Moonkin. Mira's breath caught. The Moonkin were not beasts, as the old stories claim. They were protectors, guardians of the land, blessed by the gods with the swiftness of the panther and the eyes of the night. But as men grew fearful, they were hunted and erased from history. The crowd murmured, exchanging uncertain glances. Mira's heart pounded. "Some say the Moonkin still live, hiding among us," the scholar continued, his voice dipping into an eerie whisper. "Watching, waiting. And when the time comes, they shall rise again." Mira took a step back, suddenly aware of the way the villagers looked around nervously, as if expecting to see a pair of glowing eyes staring back at them. And then, a chill ran up her spine. Something was wrong. A scent sharp and unnatural hung in the air. Something dark lurked at the edge of the village, watching, waiting, just like the scholar had said. It began with a single scream, then another. The joyous laughter of the festival turned to terror as a shadowy mass tore through the village gates. It was massive, its form shifting and writhing like smoke, but its eyes burned red like fire. It moved too fast. Before the guards could react, the beast's claws sliced through the wooden stalls, scattering splinters and fruit across the cobbled ground. Mira froze. Run! That was the first instinct that flooded her mind. Hide, stay unseen. But then, a child cried out, trapped beneath the wreckage of a collapsed stall. The beast turned its glowing eyes toward her. Mira moved before she could think. One moment, she was standing at the edge of the festival. The next, she had leapt forward, her instincts taking over, her hood falling away as she landed between the beast and the girl. Gasps rippled through the crowd. For the first time, the villagers saw her clearly. The moonlight revealed her feline ears, her glowing golden eyes, the way she stood poised like a predator. "A Moonkin!" someone screamed. Mira barely heard them. She had bigger problems. The shadow beast lunged. She dodged effortlessly, twisting midair, landing gracefully on all fours. The creature swiped again, but she was already behind it, moving too fast for the human eye to track. Its weak spot. She needed to find its weak spot. Her sharp eyes scanned its form, searching. There, a glowing mark on its chest. Mira's claws unsheathed, her nails sharpening into deadly points. She had never used them in front of others before, but there was no turning back now. With a single, precise strike, she slashed through the mark. The beast let out a deafening screech, its body convulsing before collapsing into dust. Silence. Then, a dozen pairs of eyes turned to her. She could hear their whispers. "She's not human. She's one of them. A monster!" Mira's chest tightened. She had saved them. She had protected their children, their homes, but it didn't matter. They would never see her as one of their own. Then, the village elder stepped forward. He was old, with a face like cracked stone, but his eyes held wisdom beyond years. He looked at her not with fear, but with understanding. "You saved us," he said. Mira swallowed. She didn't know how to respond. The elder slowly bowed. To her, a ripple of hesitation ran through the crowd. Then, one by one, the villagers lowered their heads. Not in fear, but in respect. Mira felt her breath hitch. For the first time in her life, she wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was seen. And she was accepted. That night, as the village rebuilt, Mira stood on the rooftops once more. But this time, she wasn't watching from the shadows. She was guarding. She knew the darkness wasn't gone forever. More creatures would come. More dangers would rise. But she wasn't afraid anymore. She was Mira of Eldermere. And she was the Moonkin guardian.